Directions, going over what we messed up on and what we could fix and what we could do better.
What was the trip like to L.A. all in all? Besides the football game, we were out there on Saturday, and we made the trip out on Thursday. L.A. was beautiful. What was the trip like for you guys?
LA just a different vibe. It's not like Louisiana. I kind of came back to Louisiana and was disappointed. I didn't really see mountains. I didn't see stuff. It's just like you don't see normal stuff that you see in LA. You don't really see it out here in Louisiana. So it was just something new for all of us.
So what now, Kayshon? You mentioned the loss on Saturday, and obviously you were, in my opinion, you were the best player on the field. But as you said, individual success means nothing when the team doesn't get the goal of the win. What now for you guys? What's the feeling around the locker room and around the facility?
The feeling around the locker room and the facility is we got to improve on it, get better, and come out hard and ready to play this weekend against McNeese.
What'd you think of Max's play? What'd you think of the quarterback's play?
Yeah, Max played great. I think everybody played great all around, and it's little things that we all could improve on.
I thought the freshman wide receivers played good. Even the small sample that they had a chance to get in there. Besh made a play. Thomas made a play. They threw at Hilton one time. What'd you think of those younger guys?
The younger guys really came in and stepped up, and they kind of playing their role in this football team. And I think this Saturday they kind of started adapting to how Saturdays is and how college ball like. And I look forward to watching them play because I know they got big things ahead.
What was it like playing in front of a crowd for the first time? It seemed like you guys really were amped up in the pregame watching you guys down there. How much did that have to do with playing in front of people after last season?
I mean, it was really different walking out there, seeing everybody. It was just different compared to last season. And you ain't really you were walking to the stadium and you only see 20,000 people, but that was my first full game packed, if you ask me, because high school games wasn't really that packed. So last year looked kind of lit to me, but this past Saturday was really lit.
What do you expect this weekend for the home opener for the first time in Tiger Stadium when fans can come out and be there in full capacity?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for it. I know fans ready for it too. It's been a while since the stadium was fully packed. Tigers back in action.
That's crazy to think about, that you have not played in a full capacity Tiger Stadium after your freshman season. It's, you forget. I mean, you've played so many games now up to this point that you haven't played one in front of a crowd like you will on Saturday. Do you think that the intensity will be picked up, will be ratcheted up at practice this week because of the outcome last weekend? What do you expect this week of preparation to be like?
I expect the preparation this week to be fast. Then how everything went last week, it just got to be fast and the fans in the stadium, so there's more momentum leaning towards our side. It's a great fan base.
What did you think of how training camp went? Did you guys feel like, from your point of view, that you guys were prepared last Saturday?
Yeah. From my point of view, I feel like everybody really prepared. We just kind of started off slow, and it really affected us.
Yeah. What were you seeing out there on Saturday? Because it seemed like every time you touched the ball, you were electric. What were you feeling? What were you seeing out there when you were lining up?
So I was seeing different coverages. I just feel like get the ball in your playmaker's hand and let them work.
Do you expect that now? I mean, we said that after your first game. It wasn't going to take long for defenses to start rolling coverages at you, and you start seeing double, maybe even triple teams here going further into the season. How do you prepare for that? How do you prepare to see the exotic looks and the multi-team defenses that you'll see coming at you this season?
Oh, throughout the week, you just gotta study film and know what could get you open against opponents who like to double team and triple team.
Yeah. I know that last week was tough, bro. I know that you want the win, and you're one of the leaders of this team. Go get them right. We're looking forward to having you back each and every week. And stay healthy, my man. Stay healthy.
Yes, sir.
We'll talk to you soon, man. There is Kayshon Boutte for this week of Boutte Calls right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. The best wide receiver, it looked like, in the SEC last weekend. He was very much, in my opinion, the best player on the field when you watch those two teams play. As we said, 9 grabs for 148 yards and 3 touchdowns, as he was felt unguardable in watching him on Saturday night. So there is that's how our weeks will go here. Sorry about the audio stuff. We should have the football. We should have the full interview up here when we get out of here. But that's how our weeks will look. We'll have BJ Ojulari and we'll have Kayshon Boutte on weekly here on the Jordy Culotta Show, and we'll talk to them about the last week. We'll talk to them about the week ahead. Obviously, the media around LSU right now is pretty flammable if you're watching and kind of just listening to the national scope. I heard Ross Dellinger on with Paul Feinbaum today. Kirk Herbstreit was on the Morning Drive show with Rick Neuheisel and that crew, and I heard him giving his thoughts on LSU and Ed Orgeron, and a lot about what we discussed yesterday, a lot what we discussed again this morning, a lot what people are talking around here locally is the talking points nationally around LSU football. It seems like blood is in the water in and around this program right now, and that Ed Orgeron is going to have to change the course of the direction of this program to be able to beat this thing, to last it, because it feels as if his days and his time at LSU is running out, and it feels like the people that are in power are tired of putting up with a lot of what we've seen from the public relations side of LSU. The more that I continue to dig in and ask questions from people, the more I get back in return that they've had enough of Orgeron. What we have to remember, and what we can't lose sight of, is that LSU football is a $100 million operation. That it is a business that is at the forefront of not only the athletic department at LSU, it's at the forefront of the institution. It's the first thing that people recognize with LSU, Louisiana State University. Forget the sports fans. If you ask somebody their perception of LSU, if you ask somebody what their thoughts are around LSU, they're probably going to describe the logo on the helmet, the colors they see on a Saturday. It's the first thing that people can identify with who you are. And the leader of that organization, of that business, has to understand the full capacity and scope of what the job entails. And it's become overly evident and very clear that Ed Orgeron just doesn't get it. He doesn't understand it, I guess, because he's been told multiple times about what the expectation is for the position, and he just can't execute it. And the people that cut the checks and the people that the fundraisers are asking to cut the checks have had enough, or over it, really and truly. And the more that I ask around, the more that you get information, the more this stuff is happening. Wheels in motion type stuff. I mean, things have to change dramatically, in my opinion, for Ed Orgeron to be in Baton Rouge past this season. I mean, the last 72 hours of his existence at LSU have been possibly the death nail. Really and truly, quite possibly, you can look back on that weekend, the same way you looked at Les Miles in 2016 when he went to Lambeau Field in Wisconsin, right? I mean, it kind of felt the same as far as where the program was and where they were expected to go. If you recall that off season, LSU had big names come back to Baton Rouge for the first time, really on Miles's watch. You got upperclassmen to return to school. Trey White, Kendall Beckwith, guys like that were announcing that they were coming back to school, and that was going to be the veteran leadership in the locker room that you needed, combined with guys like Leonard Fournette, Jamal Adams, Malachi Dupree, Devon Gottschall. And they were going to put a run together. And there was so much expectation, and there was so much excitement, and there was so much buildup, and there was so much promotion of how good they were going to be. And then the game kicked off at Lambeau, and it looked exactly who they told you they were not going to be. And they had issues that ran just deep within the program that ultimately cost Miles his job mid-season, that turned it over to Ed Orgeron, and now you're in the position where Orgeron's leading the program, and it feels a lot of the same of those days. A trip to L.A. with a team that has high expectation, coming off a season that was disappointed, knowing that, you know, his job security is really on the line, and you come out in week one and you look exactly the same as you did a year ago, dealing with the same issues. Some might even be deeper now than they were then, and there's no sign of improvement in sight. And the more you talk to people in power, and the more that you have conversations with people that this is their responsibility to look out for this stuff, they've had enough. I mean, like, they are like, bro, they're done. I'm done with dealing with that stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about it anymore. I mean, the fact that he doesn't understand that he is the CEO of a $100 million organization and doesn't understand the simple parameters of keeping the public relations in bounds is over. It's a tired act. And I told you about it last night. I told you about it again this morning. I talked to people today, and I'm telling you again, Ed Orgeron's in serious trouble in Baton Rouge if he doesn't change dramatically. And I don't know if he's got enough time to make the changes that are necessary to save his life. Really and truly, with the people that I've had the opportunity to speak with, because of just how arrogant, as it was described to me, he is with this stuff. I mean, you're that arrogant, and then your team looks like that. It feels a lot of the same in the days that we've seen with Les Miles towards the end with Ed Orgeron. And when you look at the SEC, I'm watching Ole Miss right now play Louisville, and, you know, both teams not stellar. But Ole Miss, without their head coach and the best play caller in the game, is handling Louisville. Scored again. Snoop Connor just went in from 2 yards to put Ole Miss up now on Louisville after a big interception, 22-0 with an extra point pending.
Do you think that this message is getting through to the LSU football team? Because we've interviewed both B.J. Ojulari and now Kayshon Boutte, and it doesn't seem like all hope is lost inside the locker room.
Well, from a player standpoint, those guys are never going to lose it publicly. You know what I mean? Like, they're, at the end of the day, they're competitors. Keaton Berrien says, shaking my head, I didn't continue to turn in to hear you trash Coach Orgeron. I just wanted to hear Boutte talk when LSU goes on a run and gets through October, and I'll be checking back in to hear what you're saying. All right, man. See you later. Kayshon just hung up. If you want to hear the new information that we got today on the status of Ed Orgeron, peace. Check out. We're back tomorrow at 7 a.m. But since the last time we've spoke, I've spoke to more people in position of power that have the authority to make the decision on the future of the LSU head football coach, and I'm telling you, he's in a dire position. So,
would it define dire? Would you say?
Does he have enough time to fix it?
Right, but I would assume that you'll never see him in the public again, and for the rest of this year at least, unless it's a scheduled appearance.
What do you mean? They were shocked to see his appearance in downtown Los Angeles on Friday walking around with the blonde.
Right. So
they cannot believe that happened. Like, really and truly. To see the way that he's smirking at the camera, walking around 24 hours before pregame, before the game, is mesmerizing to people in power. Like, awestrucken. Cannot believe that the first game of the season, after the off-season meetings that they've had and the conversations that they have tried to get through to him and his yes man, Derek Panamsky, and within the first game before even kicking it off, this guy's threatening to fight a member of the other person's fan base, the other team's fan base, and he's strolling around L.A. with a new blonde is, I mean, they are like, you gotta be kidding me.
Right, I'd imagine that had to be first on the list of things not to do. Like, we've had that conversation before. Oh, like, we told you not to be in the public spotlight, but I'm saying for him to be able to fix this and maybe retain his job, I'd imagine that remains one on the list. I don't want to see you out in public. I don't want to see you in a position to where you can get caught, where it looks like it's a stain on the LSU brass and LSU football team. So I'm saying, if that's crossed off the list and he's not in public anymore, I mean, would he have to win? He has to win out, football wise. I mean, I imagine they'd allow a loss to Bama, but what saves him on the football field?
9 wins.
And he just disappears off of.
But I think there's so much damage that has been done to the brand on his watch without the ability to even accept any type of guidance on it, any type of direction, any type of just, hey man, you better listen up or this is going to cost you your job type conversations, that it may just be too far gone because the relationship's already fractured. Right? I mean, it's already cracked and broken enough where it's like nobody trusts anybody. I mean, we've sat down across from the table, have looked you directly in your eyes and said, this is what is haunting you from a PR perspective. The females in the bed and the pictures popping up, the jogging on the beach and shirtless and snapping pictures with everybody who wants one, the down in Cocodrie at the camp, pulling up on somebody because he thought he heard something. He walks up on a camp, and so somebody has video of Ed Orgeron and his sons walking up on somebody in Fouchon at their camp. Because they were passing by on a boat. He thinks that he hears somebody say something about Orgeron and his job. Next thing you know, somebody's like, they're sitting in the room and saying like, I think Coach O is here. And he's walking up and saying, did you guys have something to say to me? And it gets back down to the LSU administration that this guy is not a big booster, but a booster of the program, and just had the football coach walk up on him and ask him if he was talking shit about him as he drove by in the boat. Like, bro, what are we doing? And then he's walking into the first game of the season and sees some guy in a black shirt and calls him out for having a blue shirt on in front of his kids, threatening to kick his ass. They're like, bro, this is a joke. This is comical. This program cannot be guided by you. You don't understand the task. You don't understand the responsibility that comes along with it. I mean, the more and more you get away from 19, doesn't that look like the one that stands out?
That's the outlier.
That's the one that doesn't make a lot of sense. when you look at the overall data of the last 5 years, right? I mean, that without Joe Burrow in this program, find me what LSU would be, right? And I know that's unfair because they are who they are with Burrow, and he was here, and Bill Bush was the one that recruited and got him to LSU, and next thing you know, Burrow's the guy, and he's winning Heismans and national championships and undefeated seasons. But that looks like
that's the outlier.
That's the standout.
It would say that without that, his best season would be the previous season with the Fiesta Bowl win. But I would imagine Burrow was still on that team and led that team. But if you look at his resume, and it's only a Fiesta Bowl win in 5 years, one Power Five, I guess, New Year's Six Bowl win. I wouldn't imagine that Scott would have gave him the extension without the national championship.
Well, I mean,
he was in a tough spot.
Woodward's in a tough spot there. It's his first year on the job. His first year he comes in, and LSU football looks like the damn Dallas Cowboys of the 1990s. You know what I mean? It's just like, good Lord, this place is a machine. You're pumping out 15 draft picks, the Heisman Trophy winner, and undefeated seasons. It's this easy? You know, I mean, hell, here's the check. I mean, he was in a spot where, I mean, Orgeron was doing PR for the governor, for the state. I mean, he was as close to a made man as there was in the state of Louisiana. Now, he thought he got made and used up all of that equity and burned up all of that power and favor within one season. And now people are over it. They're tired of it, man. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's just too much ego. It's just too much. And look, man, there's a lot of ego in those positions, and it's understood that that's going to come with a little bit of diva. I mean, Saban's got some diva to him. Jimbo's got some diva to him. I mean, Dabo's got some diva to him.
There's a level that they get, I guess, equity that they have that you know you're going to have to put up with, especially coming off a national championship, and then know that they're running the ship when it comes to your athletic program. And so for that to run out so quickly, I think it goes back to what you said. It's like, this is the norm. This is what it's supposed to look like throughout the years.
What we're watching
what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been like that every year, but the two that Burrow was here, really and truly. I mean, there was chaos in his first year.
And it goes back to trying to fight people again.
They were holding video watch parties with the athletic director. I mean, it was Dave Aranda, Matt Canada, Joe Oliva, and Ed Orgeron in video sessions within the first month of the season. And next thing you know, Orgeron's trying to fire the guy that he just overpaid in Matt Canada and, you know, interviewed for 15 minutes in that offseason and found out that it didn't work. I mean, there's been chaos since day one. And, you know, I mean, for as great as the Brady hire was, and it was phenomenal, program changing, right? What other hire has done anything like that? I mean, we can go down the list and talk about how many people that he's hired, but I mean, it's plus 15. He's made 15 plus hires since he's been here, right? And one of them has been a grand slam in Joe Brady. The other ones, where's the superstar? Who am I looking at? Who has he gone out, hired that really made a like, wow, that was a good move, man. I mean, keeping Dave Aranda, retaining Dave Aranda. You know what I mean? I mean,
but Aranda knew what he had on that defense. He's like, I'm not walking away from this thing.
And he was making $500,000 less than Orgeron was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, he was making nearly head coaching money to keep him around. So, I mean, I'll give him Dave Aranda, just for the sake of the argument. Who else? I mean, James Craig was his guy. They're literally in a lawsuit with James Craig. I mean, they're suing one another now. Pete Jenkins, Jerry Sullivan.
I guess Kevin Falk is the only good one I can
Kevin
think
Falk
of.
would be a really good one. Kevin Falk would be a really good one. Retaining Corey Raymond, Mickey Joseph. You know, I mean, outside of that, a lot of Damian Craigs and James Craigs.
That's what I would say. You say all-stars that they've hired. There hasn't been coaches on the staff that have wanted to stick around or that you would want to stick around. It's been swings and misses.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying that there's been one knocked it out the park hire.
Sure.
But even the rest of them are, I guess they can let them walk, or they don't want to be here anymore. Like, there's no real one that you could point to that would say that was just solid, except for guys that are already on staff.
So, you make a ton of changes on the coaching staff. You get some guys to come back. You get some guys to transfer in, and you open up the season with high expectation and a lot of the offseason talking circuit being ate up with Orgeron saying that he's going to do it his way. I mean, I remember being at the Baton Rouge Rotary Club, and the last question of the day was with some lady up front in a pretty little hat that he commented on and said, "What's your question?" And she said something to the effect of, "How is this year going to be different than last year?" And Orgeron gave her that grunt from into the microphone and said, "I'm going to do it my way, my way."
Well, and he said it at SEC Media Day on an even bigger platform with the SEC Network there. That was one of the last questions he received also. And that was the big takeaway from his press time was like, I'm doing it my way. If we're going to do this thing, it's essentially like he sounded like I'm going down swinging, which he might mean literally.
Yes, he could. I think
people's camps is bizarre.
Is that crazy?
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
I mean, the rabbit ears to think you heard something on a boat.
Somebody's sitting, like they're sitting at a card table in the camp.
Yeah, doing camp shit.
And just sitting there boozing, talking, hanging out. Somebody walks in and says, "Ed Orgeron is here," and some kid at the table puts his cell phone down, like up. It's facing the ceiling, and he presses record, and you can hear it. And he, at one point, kind of flips it where you see him for a second, and that guy sent that video in to LSU administration. And that's what I was told today. The people had seen the video, they had seen the encounter, and this happened like in the middle of the summer. And the person who I was speaking with today told me the story, like just told me what I just told you, that they had gotten that emailed into them, saying like, we're just down in our camp, we're standing on the dock, me and my sons are standing there bullshitting, and Ed Orgeron and his kids come by, and they're flying down, and somebody made the comment of like, "There's Coach O," or something like that, and somebody said something like, "He better win every game," was something they said, like as he's passing. Just
innocuous, not really taking a shot.
Yeah, nobody's really just kind of, somebody said something to that effect, right? And 10 minutes later, he's walking in the camp asking if somebody had something to say to him. Like, bruh, what? Huh? It's like, holy shit.
You don't have anything better to do?
Like, you are worried about that? You want to go fight everybody who's criticizing you in this state? Like, bruh, you're not going to work for a year. I mean, it just, the insecurity and the rabbit ears and the macho bullshit is just, it's so tired and it's so old, and the people who are in power that have the ability to make the decisions about it are exhausted on it. I mean, there's no more conversations about it. You know what I mean? There's no more. I mean, think about the story that Louis Garcia told that was on the outtakes of Hold the Rope about Skip Bertman, his freshman year. "Hey, Lou, take Sandy Bear's bags to room 1150. This is a business trip. My wife's not even sleeping in the room with me. And you got the LSU head football coach a day before the game gallivanting around 90210 in Beverly Hills before the biggest game of the season for him. Somewhere he's got to erase and exercise some demons of his past to really show his bosses that, hey, we're for real this year. We made a lot of staff change. We spent a lot of money in the offseason. We made the changes, and now we're set. We're ready to go.
About to pop on national
We're
television.
about to roll.
And erase 2020. You won't even know it happened.
Instead, the administration is dealing with the same issues that they dealt with last year. Watching him walk around the day before the game with a girlfriend, and then walking into the game threatening to fight the opposing crowd members. I mean, they're like, man, the football at this part doesn't even really matter. It doesn't even really matter. I mean, this guy is the representation in the face of our $100 million operation.
You wouldn't even believe it if it was in a movie. You'd be like, well, this is kind of hokey. Like if you had the head coach walking around with a girl on Friday night before the game, fast forward to day of the game, he's trying to fight people in the crowd. Be like, what kind of WWE bullshit am I watching?
Man. I mean,
turns out it's on
this?
Fox on Saturday night.
What am I watching? What am I even looking at? I mean, it's nuts. It is nuts, man. So if you miss Boutte Calls, are we going to be good on that audio? On the front part of that audio? Did we,
I don't know why. I even
it?
tested it right before and it worked. It's something with when the phone call comes in. Like maybe before we start the show, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out. We got might have more time than Coach O to figure it out.
We'll figure it out. BJ Ojulari was fantastic.
That's up.
Last night. If you have not heard that conversation with BJ yet, make sure you check that out. A part of our new partnership over here on the Jordy Culotta show. So we'll have weekly conversations with Boutte and BJ. What you want? What's your preference?
I'm pretty BJ first and Boutte after. We gotta get this thing started.
There's gotta be a T-shirt somewhere in there. I appreciate everybody for being here. Tomorrow morning, we have got Frank Wilson from McNeese. Will be here at 7:30, so we'll get his thoughts on his team, the Cowboys, coming into Baton Rouge this weekend. I believe we've got Willie Fritz lined up. It's either going to be tomorrow or Wednesday. I'm going back and forth with the SID down there to get a time locked in on Coach Fritz to talk to him about the weekend that the Green Wave had, as it was a beautiful weekend for Tulane. Nearly won it in Oklahoma. Nearly won the game. And it was a close contest that Tulane nearly pulled out. So we'll talk to Coach Fritz about that, what that did for him and his confidence of his team. We will talk to him. And we'll continue to talk about LSU or preview that. Tomorrow you hear from Ed Orgeron. That should be pretty interesting to hear from O, as he'll be speaking for the first time this game week, as LSU will be having crowd. We'll have full capacity crowd. There will be some guidelines on getting in the game. I'm sure they will address that tomorrow inside of the press conference. Thank you for being here and finding us. We're kind of bouncing around now, man. We're kind of finding this schedule during football season, and that's the beauty of this platform. We can kind of go live when we want to go live, and we're going to take every advantage that we have to bring you as much content and as much insight as possible. One time, whoa.
It's that California air, dude.
That California hangover, bro.
Breathe heavy.
Yeah, thank y'all for being here. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Go Chevrolet, GEAUX, Chevrolet.com. Lloyd and the crew expecting Katie back tomorrow. Fumble! Ole Miss with another turnover.
Had 2 targetings in this game already. One by Ole Miss and one in Louisville.
Louisville's shitty.
Oh, they've been bad, man.
Yeah, they're bad.
You know they're bad if they didn't fight to get Lane on the field or in some capacity to call plays. Like Nick Saban fought tooth and nail to get back into a game because they thought it was very important he coached. So I think Ole Miss kind of thought the book was out on Louisville, that they're not very good.
Christopher Kelly, the show is becoming hard to stomach. I get there's bad blood, but it seems like Jordy is laying it on thick. Chris, I'm sorry you feel that way, man. But I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you what I have been told.
Just don't shoot the messenger.
From the people that are insiders. I told the story about my relationship with Owen Panamsky last night. They didn't like some things that I said, and have cut me out of the program to the extent of having any. I still have great relationships with people up there and still get really trustworthy information. So that's what this platform is. I'm going to tell you what I know, and I'm going to tell you the truth. And not that people in this position don't tell you the truth, but in some situations, you've got to play defense with your information sometimes. You know, when you're at an organization that has a contract with LSU, then you really have to watch what you say and how you say it and when you say it and where you say it. And if you say it a way that they don't like it, well, then it's going to possibly affect how and you do your job. In this position, it's there's none of those ties. There's none of that existence. And I think people come here to hear the truth, and I'm going to give you the unbridled truth of what I know, and that's what I know. And I know that probably pisses a lot of people off, or some people off at LSU, that I'm saying that, but they also know deep down that it's the truth, because the people that are telling me are the people that are sitting at the table making those decisions. And I'm telling you, and you do with it what you want, and you take it to the streets and present it however you would like. But I'm telling you, with the people that I know and the information that I'm privy to, that's it. I'm not hiding anything from you. And I don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to see it one way or the other. But if you look at the state of where it sits right now, things are trending in the wrong direction for Ed Orgeron and his regime at LSU as the football coach. And if he doesn't make monumental changes, his future is not going to exist. And that's what's happening behind the scenes. People are trying to figure out, if it comes to that, what's the cheapest way of doing it from a business standpoint. So it's game week. We'll hear from Frank Wilson and Ed Orgeron tomorrow here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We're driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Have a great Tuesday night. Monday night.
The Sunday threw us off.
Monday, it did. It did. Well, 3-day weekend for you. We're back with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.